Ahojte, vítajte pri tomto videu. Ako ste si mohli všimnúť, tak je veľmi dlhé a názov je po anglicky, lebo toto video, čo teraz uvidíte, nebude video, ale podcast. A nahrávala som ho spolu so svojím priateľom, čiže je po anglicky. Uvažovala som dlho, v akom jazyku ho spraviť, ale vzhľadom na to, že Michael nevie po slovensky a s mojou sestrou na diaľku by to bolo teraz veľmi komplikované, keďže som aj teraz práve v Kanade, tak sme sa rozhodli pre angličtinu. Verím v to, že väčšina z vás vie dobre po anglicky, čiže dúfam, že som vám tým teraz nejako až príliš neuškodila. Dúfam, že sa vám podcast bude páčiť. Ak si ho chcete pozrieť bez reklamných prestávok, tak je aj na Spotify a práve ho uploadujem na iTunes. Tam ho treba ešte schváliť, takže dúfam, že keď toto video bude vonku, že už bude vonku, ale zatiaľ už určite je 100% na Spotify. Link som dala do popisu, tam sa môžete rovno dostať na Spotify a pustiť si ho tam bez reklam. Náš podcast sme nazvali A Couple to Go, A Cup to Go, chápete? Haha, joke. A prvá epizóda je o našich bývalých vzťahoch a čo sme sa z nich naučili. Dúfam, že sa vám bude páčiť. Let's go! Hello, welcome to our first podcast. I was announcing this on my Instagram channel, I think TikTok, did I? I don't really know.
Probably.
I'm Natalia, and in front of me is sitting my lovely boyfriend, Michael, and he prepared an intro. He actually wrote it down. It's up to you, baby.
All right. So hello and welcome to A Couple to Go, the podcast where we explore topics of the likes of politics, love, science, or whatever comes to our mind at the time, all the while enjoying a cold brew.
Or a cold one.
My name is Michael.
And I'm Natalia.
The song you just heard is Never Lonely by Martin Land. And as cheesy as it sounds, I hope we can help some of you fight loneliness in this time of isolation. For today's topic, we decided to steer away from the current political situation, as it is pretty much all we hear about no matter what the medium you look at, and honestly, we're getting pretty sick of it. Pun intended.
Beautiful, baby, beautiful,
thank you.
but honestly, it sounded a bit rehearsed.
No, I wonder why.
No.
Alright, so...
Yeah, so we heard what this podcast is gonna be about. I basically had the idea because I really wanted to record a podcast already for a really long time. I love listening to podcasts, and I kinda get Michael into it. He's not really listening to podcasts by himself, but sometimes I put one on and we listen to one together. And
once in a while, when we're cooking.
Yeah. Michael usually falls asleep, but I still count it as listening to a podcast at least for half an hour.
Fair enough.
And yeah, I really wanted to create one, and we often have interesting conversation. We talk a lot. I don't know if other couples talk that much as well. So today's topic is gonna be about relationships and our past relationships. Yes, we're gonna talk about our exes. That's something that I think couples should do more often. It can go wrong if you overdo it, but I think if you have the right approach, it can teach you a lot about the other person and about yourself.
Dum dum dum.
Dum 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 dum. So it's gonna be about our past relationships, how they influenced us, what we learned from them, how they changed us, and about breakups, of course, as well, because a past relationship wouldn't be a past relationship if they wouldn't have been a breakup. My English is not the best. I'm not a native English speaker, as you might have already recognized by my super weird accent.
You sound wonderful, baby.
I sound weird. Yeah, but before we get to today's topic, I want to tell you something, because I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine. She's a Slovak influencer. She asked in her Instagram stories about sex.
Ooh, spicy right away.
Yeah. Okay, this is something about relationships, not about past relationships, I guess. Okay, it could be, but she was talking about her current relationship. Mm-hmm. And she kind of came to the conclusion, to a specific theory, that it's up to the woman in a relationship. We are talking about heterosexual relationships. It's up to a woman in a relationship when and if there's going to be sex or not. and she made us into a pool, like an Instagram pool, and asked us a question. And, and she was like, so, is it up to the woman if there's gonna be sex or not? Yes or no? And I immediately was like, I want to say no, because I'm like, no, it's a mutual, decision, and like men can have a little bit too, and I was like, oh wait, but what I think about it? Wait, I think it's actually yes.
Well, I think like there's a big, not necessarily preconceived idea, but like generally when you see it in movies or when you see it in stories, or it's always whether the the woman that says no or the guy approaching the woman, and it's always up to the female gender to kind of give the go to the whole thing. So like I don't wonder where this question comes from, because I think it's like it's out there. As to for the answer, I think it depends a lot on the couple or on the specific people. But in general terms, I think I would tend more towards the yes as well.
But isn't that weird, especially for us, because we are, well, both of us, we would describe ourselves or classify ourselves as feminists, but that means equality. So it means that we as feminists would say that it should be an equal thing, and you kind of want to work towards an equal, both-sided decision about whether there's gonna be sexual intercourse or not at this right moment.
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult thing to approach, because it's one of those things where you like one might feel like having sexual intercourse where the other one doesn't necessarily feel like having sexual intercourse, and as soon as you hit that, you're straight up outside of the like feminism question, because it's not a question about your beliefs, it's a question about how you feel in that moment.
What I meant was that yes, of course there's, it can be situations where one party wants to have sex and the other one just doesn't feel like it. It got me thinking into, you kind of want to have this mutual thing where it's equalized. But then, from my experience, and from probably also the experience of most of the people, because most people replied with yes, the experience tells you that it's more up to the woman.
Yeah. Well, okay, I think there's a couple of variables that we can take in consideration. And all of this, like, obviously nothing is proven. It's all out of our ass, if you will allow me the word. Because
we already said sex, so I think ass is not that bad.
But like statistically speaking, there's a very high rate, of like female unsatisfaction when it comes to sexual intercourse in relationship. Like there's a lot of like women that never or very rarely get orgasm out of their sexual relationships, right?
Yeah.
Whereas for men, the rate is a lot higher of actually reaching an orgasm during a sexual And do you think that it has something to do with like let's say if a lot of women can't reach orgasm, do you think it has something to do, not if it has something to do, but if it has a consequence on their desires or willingness to have sex?
Yeah, you mean like if you know that that this is gonna make you feel amazing, that you kind of desire it more?
Yeah, like
That's what you mean?
Yeah, like a guy, for example, like if you know that you're gonna reach the orgasm level every time, then sure, there's no consequence, or there's no like bad feelings about the idea of having sex. Like it's just fun, and you're gonna reach a good point. But if let's say you're in a relationship and you don't always reach the orgasm, and you have trouble communicating like sexually with your partner, and that leads to you not being able to talk about the fact that you can't reach the orgasm, and it leads to sexual frustration, then maybe it affects your desires or to engage into sexual intercourse.
Yeah, so to like dumb it down a bit, or to simplify, what you're saying is that a guy will be more willing to have sex at any time because he's gonna be just good, and a woman is gonna be like, oh yeah, I don't know if I feel a bit like it, or because it's gonna be a chance, not a like sure thing that she's gonna have an orgasm.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's not what I was thinking about. What I replied to her. For me, I was immediately thinking about, it's an interesting point that you brought up, and I think it might be for a lot of women, it might probably be the reason actually. But what my immediate thought was that we as women have an ovulation. So we have, this specific hormonal changes, and obviously when you're ovulating, you have a higher libido because biology.
Yeah.
And you, even if you as a man, I know from, reading through studies, and obviously I'm a person that's very biologically interested, scientifically interested. I'm not a scientist, but I love science. According to research, men have also higher libido levels or lower libido levels. You go through like stages.
Yeah.
What is different for women, that they go through those stages more often. And I think this now is my my thought.
Yeah.
This is not a scientifically proven thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. The period when you have higher libido, it's while you're ovulating.
Yeah.
And that period is shorter compared to the period where men have higher libido.
It's quite possible, and it's probably one of those things, or I'm not going to use the word probably. I'm going to use the word possibly. It's possibly one of those things where individually it varies a lot, not only for women but also for men. Like men, like there's people with very low libido in general, and there's people with like a crazy amount of libido. We recently binged on the Too Hot to Handle show. I'm guessing a few of you probably watched it too.
Oh yeah, it's an original Netflix show. It's a reality show. The concept of the show is to put a bunch of people that are basically, I would define it as like kind of sex addicts. They are fuckboys and fuckgirls.
That's a very blunt way to say it, yeah.
Yeah, they don't form deep connections with people in order to have sexual intercourse. They have a lot of little flings. Not that that's a bad thing, like if you're aware of it, if you like sex, and if you just like to have sexual intercourse with other people, but those people were specifically chosen because they were unable to form deeper connections, and they were kind of like seeing the other gender more as just a sex object. And they were put into a retreat for a month where they thought it's going to be a big holiday where they're going to have a lot of fun and a lot of sexual fun as well. And then boom, twist, the big plot twist. In order to win the prize money, they didn't know that there was prize money in the beginning, so they learned that there's a big reward of $100,000, and in order to win that money, they were not allowed to have sex, kiss, touch, genitalia, have no like sexual connection, and for every...
And wait, there's a very specific thing as well, because it would be fairly easy if you could masturbate, but
yeah, that too.
you were not allowed to masturbate. So it's basically going a month without sexual stimulation.
Yeah, without any sexual stimulation.
While being exposed to other
very hot people
that are also very horny.
Yeah, and for every misstep, there would be money deducted from the winning prize, and it would be like a lot of money. So for sex, it would be $20,000 from the $100,000 you could win.
Would you kiss someone for $3,000?
Yeah, okay, but so what did you want to say about that? Sorry, you forgot?
I don't know. You kind of ran away with it.
I just wanted to explain the show to people that haven't seen it.
I completely forgot. What were we talking about before? We were talking about the
about the libido thing. Yeah.
Talking about everyone having different. Okay. We were talking about. I was talking about the different people having different libido level.
Yeah.
And it just led to the show because these people obviously had very high libido. I don't know if it was due to their lifestyle because they were used to it. Well,
there's also a thing that sex is addictive. Like all good feelings are addictive.
Yeah, it's like sugar. But yeah, for example, these people, they have a very high level of libido and they're very sexual, very active. But some other people, like it happens that you're not as sexual. You don't need to have sex every day. You don't need to have sex every other day even. And depending on your partner, depending on who you are, your lifestyle, like there's a lot of variables. And I feel like maybe for a woman, it can be more predictable because you have this cycle that repeats every month that is very obvious because you literally like, you know, you have blood coming out of your body. But for men, there's no real like physical sign that you're in a high libido or in a low libido. You kind of just feel it on the moment, or just like suddenly you're like, ooh, you know, it's happening. So
What? You kind of feel it, like you feel it. Oh wait, now my libido's coming back. Oh yeah, yes, come back to me, baby.
no, but you know, you're in a situation and you start feeling aroused or feeling like, and you kind of just know that you can
Simply said, sometimes you get a boner and sometimes you're not.
not necessarily a boner, but like sometimes you just feel it. Sometimes you just know it, like
Yeah,
it's
I know.
happening.
I'm just making fun of you, okay? Give me this little bit of
I'll give you this
joking
little
around.
bit of joking around. So yeah, like I feel like it might be because they're not synchronized, or for like it's difficult because it's difficult to perceive and to necessarily see it. But at the end of the day, even if there's a difference in libido and the timing of libido, it's about understanding your partner and also being able to like have that conversation. Because once you have that conversation, it's easier to understand the other's point of view and where the other stands. And then, because you don't want to be like forcing something on your partner that they don't want, right? Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like if you're feeling super aroused and your partner's not feeling it, just go to the bathroom by yourself. You know, like because you're in a relationship doesn't mean you can't masturbate.
That's exactly what I told my friend too.
I think that would generally be my view on
Yeah,
that question.
just to end this up, because we kind of really went with this one.
It's all good.
To kind of end this up, I just want to say that it's not just the ovulation. The woman can also go through periods of lower libido not connected to their ovulation. That periods of lower libido that last longer than just affected by things like stress factors. If you are, let's say you have your exams right now there's the graduation happening. A lot of people are stressed or not happening, as it goes for my home country, Slovakia.
I think it's not happening at a lot of places right now.
You know what? I watched a video about the graduation in Germany.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they don't have states, they have Bundesstaaten. It's like, okay, here in Canada
One of
you
those
have...
words in German that doesn't translate well.
Yeah, I know. But, okay, here in Canada you have provinces. In the States you have the states, like, you know, different states. So it's kind of like the states in the United States. Yeah, so it's like a thing where individual states decide if they want to do the thing or not. Okay. Which is a bit weird because plus on top of that, different states graduate in different times. So for Slovakia, all of us would graduate at the same fucking time. Some states already took the graduation because it happened before the virus.
Yeah.
Some are taking it now, and then there's debates happening in the others if they should not allow it or if they should allow it.
That's kind of a shit show.
It's so weird because, you know, that means that some people, if they say no, it means that some people of that year would have a graduation and some wouldn't.
Yeah, that's. I think every country and every system is going through kind of a bit of a rough time right now with this whole crisis. But we said we wouldn't talk about it.
That's true.
So,
Okay, Corona, out of my head.
Well, now you definitely cannot monetize it.
Corona.
Shall we engage on today's subject more deeply?
Okay, so 20 minutes in the podcast. Now I'm gonna make the time mark on YouTube. Here we start with our topic, past relationships.
All right.
Yay!
So, baby, how are we gonna engage in this topic today?
Yeah, so I told Michael to maybe look up some articles, or if he remembers something he read, he watched, or something that I don't know, because the problem is we usually, when we see something interesting, we run to the other person and tell them about it. So I told him to save it this time if he saw something interesting for this topic, so we can talk about it. I did the same. And yeah, so what did you learn?
It's not so much something that I learned, but it's so much something that I revisited. A few years ago, I remember hearing or seeing about these relationships that you needed or that you would most likely have before you actually found someone that you would want to be in a relationship with for for a long time or for a more stable amount of time.
Oh, you mean one of those magazine things where it's like, oh, this is the 5 types of girls that you're gonna meet. The flirty one, the crazy one, the needy one.
Not quite. This is more, it's not about the types of girls that you're gonna date before you find the right one. This is about the kind of love that you're gonna feel before you actually find the right one.
Okay.
And it's kind of interesting.
Wait, just before you start, is it like a actual study or something? Is it something scientific? Or
This is not study or scientific. It's kind of just... This one is just like an article. There is some deeper studies about this, but this is absolutely not scientific. So take it word for word, okay?
Okay.
And
take it word for word. Don't
take it word for word. All right, there you go. So I thought this was kind of interesting, especially for our circumstances, because we both haven't had I didn't have 10 girlfriends before you, and you didn't have 10 boyfriends before me. So
yeah,
like having feeling different types of love before getting to a point or a relationship that would last a long time, that you would, is kind of an interesting take for us, because we didn't have a lot of
relationships.
Exactly.
Well, we had like relationships with people, but if you would describe serious relationships, each one of us had just one serious relationship before we met each other.
That is what I meant, indeed. Okay, so the first type would be titled the fairy tale love, or basically, the first love, the magical first love, the one we most likely get in high school, where everything is just beautiful, and
the one that lasts 1 week and you think that you're a relationship expert.
Exactly, the one you think that is gonna last forever because it is so beautiful and so perfect, and you're just so happy together.
And then you realize that boyfriend is not in love with your favorite TV show, and you just are like, no, red flag.
It's that young love where we kind of like try and mold ourselves in something that the other one would like, just so they keep the relationship alive. And usually, yes, that love doesn't last for very long, or ends like after a few months, a few years, perhaps, if you're lucky.
And this is very funny because my first love lasted 4 years, so it definitely did not apply for me.
The second love would be the hard love, and I don't think this one needs much explanation. I think if you felt it, if you had it, you kind of know. It's that love that is very, very drama. Like everything in that love, there's always drama. It's a love that hurts. Like there's always ups, there's always down. There's something happening. Like like everything's going well one day, everything's going to shit the other day.
What's funny? What? That first description sounds like my relationship, but mine lasted, as I said, 4 years, and then I had just like little flings, and then I met you. And the second one, that's your first relationship.
Yeah, pretty much. That hard love one is one that you feel kind of in an addiction, and where when you come out of it, it's really hard, and you might be in kind of this mood, this after relationship mood for a time that you would just consider to be absurd. Like you would still be like having this person or this relationship in your mind 2 years later and just being affected by it still. It's like, it's a bit ridiculous. So it sounds a bit ridiculous, but yeah, the hard love, the one that's dramatic, the one that's addictive, but ultimately the one that you kind of realized with some forecast that was just toxic, or was like not good for the long term.
I feel like my love started as the first one, the fairy tale love, and then it lasted for like 3 years, and then the last year became the hard love.
The hard love. See, for me, I definitely didn't have a girlfriend in the fairy tale love, the first love. I possibly felt it. Like, I probably like
crushes.
Yeah, exactly. I had a few crushes when I was in high school, and I think some of these crushes could fit in that description.
Oh God!
She just hit her foot really hard on the table.
I just wanted to change my sitting position, and it just bumped my feet.
And yeah, the second love, the hard love, the addictive love, it's definitely something that describes my first relationship very, very accurately. And then the third love is titled The Love That You Never Saw Coming. And she is laughing because that title describes pretty much exactly how our relationship began.
Yeah, because I when I met Michael, I was in a state of, I don't want to have a boyfriend. No, I was in a relationship for long enough. Now I'm going to be single.
Yeah.
Boom! I meet Michael.
Like I'm from Canada, and we met in some of you might know if you're coming from Natalia's social media channels, but we met in Milano, which is quite a bit far away from Canada.
Yeah, I'm from Slovakia. He's from Canada, and we met in Italy.
Honestly, when we met, I didn't think it was going to be something that could be possible to maintain because obviously there was the distance. But we were lucky enough to be in situation or in context that would allow us to keep going with our relationship. And
I was crazy enough to push it forward.
Oh, she did. She is the one that came to Canada after our time together in Italy, and that definitely pushed the relationship forward. So good job, baby. I'm proud of you.
Thank you all. Take all the credit.
So yeah,
I'm a relationship love machine.
The love that you never saw coming is the love that kind of hits you in the face suddenly. The one that that obviously you never saw coming. That seems too good to be true, and that, to be honest, it just it doesn't feel overly. There's no drama. There's good communication. It doesn't feel overly passionated. It's something that's passionated, but it's not to the point where you want to cry every day or you want to be jumping off the ceiling every day. It's just the love that feels right. It's the love that's just comfortable, that's really nice, that's really happy. I wake up in the morning and I look at her and I'm like, oh my God, she's so beautiful next to me, and she's amazing and I love her, It just feels right, and it's not toxic. So.
No, honestly, I think that our love is maybe sometimes a bit too much, because when the bathroom door is open and I'm there doing my thing and you walk by and you still give me that smile of oh, you're gorgeous, even if you're sitting on a toilet.
Hey, you're the one that follows me in the bathroom half the time, okay? You're the cat in this relationship.
It's not true. You just always need to go when I need to go too.
Synchronization. All right, so
synchronizing our pooping and peeing cycle. Wow.
That's another topic, another question for the crew. Do you guys go to the bathroom together? I'm getting another drink. You take it away with your article. Cheers.
Okay, we were talking about some articles, and I also have some article from something called The Good Man Project.
The Good Man Project?
Yeah, wait. It has an undertitle. The Good Man Project, the conversation no one else is having. And this first sounded like a, good, cool thing. And I don't know exactly how this page works. It looks like it's a project that has a website, and according to Wikipedia, the Goodman Project was founded in 2009 by the United States by Tom. Okay, now I'm gonna say the name. I just don't know how to pronounce this. By Tom Matlack.
Yeah, you got it. Tom Matlack.
Tom Matlack and James.
Houghton.
Why do all the people that I'm mentioning today have weird names? As a way to allow men to tell stories about the defining moments in their life. The hope was to spark national conversation around the question of what does it mean to be a good man. So, I thought this is a cool thing, And, yeah.
How many people answered big dicks?
What?
Because you sound like it's something absolutely awful that's coming up.
Oh.
Because I'm how many people replied with stupid stuff?
So I don't know how the articles are, if they are, have to be approved to be able to be posted or something, but this is one of the articles that was there.
Okay.
And it was called 7 Reasons to Never Discuss Your Ex with Your New Love.
Okay.
So exactly the opposite what we are doing here.
All right. So go through it.
And what we're also doing normally, because we talked about our exes, we know a lot of things. We went into really deep topics, we talked about sex and stuff also.
Oh yeah.
Which I understand when some people don't want to hear about the sexual relationship they had with their partner had with their ex. I completely understand, but we are just really open about everything.
Yeah. There's no problem sharing what you want to share, what you're comfortable sharing, as long as you're able to communicate whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
I'm not gonna read all.
Obviously.
It's long. I'm just gonna tell you the first subtitles.
Sure.
Okay, so number 1, girlfriends are not therapists. Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to talk with your partner about things, but it's not up to your partner to cure you if you have
No,
some
for sure not.
psychological problems.
And that's one of the first thing that I learned in my previous relationship is that you are not there to save the other person. The only person that should be saving someone is you yourself.
Exactly.
Oh, that was so beautiful, baby.
The relationship becomes a threesome. This, I guess, they mean like if you're really addicted to the, you know, still in love probably with your ex, didn't get over the relationship too much, like are still trying to process certain things, which would relate to the girlfriends are not therapists thing, I guess. But like, you know, the whole article makes it sound like it's bad to talk about the ex. They have good intentions in there. It's just sometimes not written the best.
Okay.
It drives comparison. This is something that I think people think it will, or that's how they imagine it, but it's not really true because you cannot compare two people really. Like everybody is their own person, everybody's different. Like I'm different than your ex.
Like you can't go in a relationship and expect like the other person to be the same. Like everyone's different. Like obviously there's some points of comparison. Like you can in your head compare two people, like physically, psychologically. Everyone's different. It's not the point of like, yeah, of course it drives like comparison, but at a certain degree, like when are you not going to compare different things? Like obviously you're not looking to compare like things. If you fall in love, you're in love with that person. You're not in love with what's different about the like with that person.
Or
like,
what's similar, or you're like trying to replace your girlfriend
yeah,
or something.
exactly.
Well, actually, you know, some people might to like do this, but you know, because they are continuing with this point that it's impossible for her to listen to what to your war stories and not draw conclusions and compare herself. It's impossible for her to not compare herself. Like that's just bullshit. I mean, you know, okay, if you talk about your ex in a way that, oh yeah, you know, my ex, with her, it would be way better in this situation. Oh, you know, my ex, like, she was a better cook than you. Obviously, that's not what you're supposed to do. But if you have a normal conversation, like a really, you know, just respectful conversation about what happened, and you're just sharing your memories, your experiences and stuff, then I don't think girlfriends would be like, oh, wait. What did you say? How exactly did you say this? Wait, are you trying to compare myself? No. You know, me with her.
Hopefully your partner doesn't react that way. But yeah, no, I don't think there's no problem in kind of seeing the differences, because obviously there's going to be differences. It becomes a problem when you make it a point to show your partner or the other person that what they're doing is inferior to your past relationship, because that should never be the point. Like obviously your new partner is going to be better at some things, and then your ex would be better at other things. They're completely different people at the end of the line, so obviously they're going to have like stronger set points and weaker ones.
Yeah.
So
but you know, it's that means that it's, sorry to interrupt you, but that means that if you're doing this, if you are like actively comparing and like in this non-subtle way, then you are doing something wrong. Like you have a problem, like you didn't get over certain things, or like you didn't process certain things completely. Yeah. It's not her problem and she like will draw conclusions, or it's like you know, it's dumb for me to assume to dumb women down or to classify them as this like crazy people that you cannot even mention your ex to them because they will just go bonkers.
Yeah, well, in the first place, if you're in a relationship where if you decide to have a conversation around a topic and the other person just flips out and gets angry just because you're approaching a topic, then you're not in a very open like communication relationship. Yeah. And I don't personally think it's healthy, because for me, one of the strongest point of a relationship should be your communication. Because if you can communicate about stuff in a healthy, positive way, then there's no real conflicts at the end of the day. There is conflicts, but the thing is, conflicts can be a very positive force of change in a relationship if you approach it properly.
Yeah, if you not just get upset at the other person and walk away and are mad about them for 2 weeks or something. But if you you can get mad, but if you then talk about what was bothering you.
Yeah, exactly. Like
you can have
exactly. You can have like conflicts, or you can disagree on some points, but if you make it a decent communication around it, and if you approach a topic in a calm manner where both of the parties are calm, and you actively listen to the person instead of trying to get your point across, and you try to understand their point, then at the end of the day, both people are just going to understand each other better. And once you understand each other better, it's easier to understand the other person, and you just grow together as a couple.
You know, like, just saying that you shouldn't talk about your ex because it might get you into a conflict, or it might result into some more complicated discussions. My English is like leaving me.
You got this, baby. A few more sips of that cold one you're having.
Oh yeah, we were drinking a little bit of Canadian beer. The thing that was kind of like getting me triggered about this whole article was also the name of it, obviously. But I get that you need to have a clickbaitable name so people click on it. But it was all going in that direction of, if you're gonna have, this conversation, it might get ugly, so it might be better to not have this conversation at all. And that's what I see as very problematic.
So they're in the mindset of like avoiding the drama. Or
I mean, they're explaining some points also in a, better way, but then they're still kind of like leaning towards this direction of like, sometimes better to not have this conversation, especially with your new partner, new love and stuff. Like, what,
Yeah. Like I think I can kind of understand where they're coming from, where they're like, don't shoot the gun too fast before you're close enough to someone, because when you're in something new, some people are gonna get spooked by stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you should be like not oversharing, not overpraising your ex and etc. I don't know, not over complaining and stuff in the beginning, I guess, but it's like to be scared to even have that conversation and like shy away from it just because you fear the outcome is not necessarily a good thing, because it stops you from growing and being able to develop something deeper with the other person.
Hey, and at the end of the day, if you just started a new relationship, or if you just met someone and all that's on your mind and the only thing you talk about is your ex, then maybe you're not ready to be in a relationship.
Yeah, exactly,
so that can also
true.
be self-formative.
Yeah, if you talk too much about your ex, it might mean that you're not ready. But wanting to talk about your ex and then suppressing it, that's not a good advice.
You should always feel comfortable to talk with your partner.
Exactly. And the fourth point, like they have 7 points, but the fourth one was the one where I was like, okay, I'm closing this site. I'm not looking at this anymore. Because the fourth point was oversharing emasculates you.
Oh.
And I was just like, no. No.
Done deal. Ciao, bye.
Oversharing emasculates you? Are you fucking kidding me? Are we still in the Middle Ages where we all need to be men?
Do you feel emasculated when you overshare with me, baby?
This is an article written like for men.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Like I probably shouldn't be even reading this, I am like, as a woman probably, I'm so dumb, I don't understand this article, obviously, as a woman.
So I'm guessing you stopped reading after reading that line, or you finished that paragraph?
That paragraph I finished, but after that paragraph I stopped reading. Because, okay, I'm gonna read this paragraph to you. So, oversharing emasculates you. If months into the relationship you're still complaining about your ex's wrongdoings, your girlfriend would no longer see you as the victim of some money-hungry woman or psychopath, but a man who has trouble asserting himself and establishing boundaries. It's kind of like it goes into a good direction. But that's what I had with all the all the paragraphs.
She's got the article has got a suggesting that the only reason you should be leaving your ex, or you left, is because she's a psycho, or because she wants money.
Yeah,
which is kind of like, it's kind of dumb.
Yeah, I mean, like the thought of, if you're still talking about your ex already months in a relationship, like if you're talking all the time about your ex, then you might not be ready for a relationship. Like, I agree with the fact, but this whole article is kind of like just dumbing women down to this point of like, oh, they were overreact, or, like your exes were crazy, or I don't know. The first line, yes, you need clickbait, but clickbait can be smart. Because a lot of people will read this article and read only the first lines of each paragraph. Many people won't read the whole thing. Like most people won't read the whole thing. And if your first phrase is oversharing emasculates you, then people will take away only that from the article. Like you shouldn't have that phrase in the article in the first place.
At the end of the day, there's dumb shit out there. Be worried or be careful or be mindful about what you read. And don't be a dick.
Yeah, I guess wow, I kind of went on a rant here, but what I just wanted to say is that if you feel like you want to share whatever it is, like it doesn't have to be just talking about your ex, but if you just want to talk about your feelings, also if you want to cry, like it's okay to cry even as a man, like not even as a man, but for every human being. If you feel like you want to share something with your partner, you should be able to share something with your partner. That's why you are in this close relationship, to be able to be open. Sharing also hurtful things that will make you maybe cry, does not mean that you're not a man anymore. Quite the opposite. It's gonna make you maybe even more of a man, of a decent human being, a well-developed person that is able to open up. It's only gonna help you.
Be vulnerable, people. Be vulnerable.
Vulnerable is the strong.
All right, so I think that closes our segment on the articles that we found, or I can't really call mine an article, more of a blog post, but...
well, yeah, honestly, I don't know if I want to call mine an article.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Do you want to kind of wrap this up with those Instagram questions you have?
For this first episode, because we are not at all experienced in leading a podcast, I kind of tried to give myself a little help from my dear followers. So thank you to everybody that participated in the polls that I posted on my Instagram stories. I asked you a few questions about relationships and past relationships and breakups and etc. My first question was if your past relationships rather helped you or harmed you more.
Ooh. And what was the percentage?
You know, like after the relationship, how you feel about it. Mm-hmm. So what do you think? What do you think the percentage was? What do you think? What was the majority?
Oh, that's a hard one. I would say I'm going to go with 50-50. Or like close to 50-50.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No, actually the majority said that it helped them.
Oh.
Which I was so positively surprised about this.
Me too.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
I read this and I was like, oh, yeah, nice, personal development, personal growth.
I feel like too often we hear people bitching about their exes or their past relationship when in reality you should just kind of take it and grow from it, you know, like understand yourself better and understand.
Yeah,
what
so
you
it
want
was about 70% that said it helped them more, and about 30% of people were like it harmed them.
All right.
That's like, okay, still, 30% harmed them, but I mean, there is a big chance you're gonna have also bad experiences, and I mean, you broke up for some reason.
Exactly. And we're very hopeful that those 30% are not actual physical harm.
Yeah, because that's also a thing, but we're gonna get into that, unfortunately.
Ooh. Okay, next question.
I just want to say that also the 30% of people that feel like it harmed them, you might feel like it harmed you. I also felt that. You might be still in that period where you feel like you feel hurt and you didn't get over it yet. Believe me, you're gonna learn something from this. I hope, at least. I hope it wasn't really horrible experiences that really, really traumatized you. And if you had really bad experiences, please get some help from a therapist. Don't feel like it's gonna emasculate you.
Are we turning into relationship advice radio?
No, that's what I'm saying. They should go to a therapist, because we are not we are also just regular people. I mean, okay, yeah, Michael studied psychology, but we are not therapists.
Side point that's very important from Natalia just said, don't be scared of therapists. Therapists are a very good thing and they exist for a reason, and there should be negative judgment on people that actually see therapists, because it is a good thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, if you go to a therapist, it doesn't mean that you are weak. It means that you are strong, that you're able to do this decision and accept that you have a problem. All right. Then I put a question: if you still think about your ex.
I'm gonna say a lot of people say yes to that.
Yeah, it was kind of more like 50-50. It was 60% yes and 40 no.
Oh, okay.
And
That's less than expected.
and I was like, even if I broke up, and I don't actively think like in a romantic way about my ex anymore, but sometimes he pops into my head.
Yeah.
And there are situations where like something reminds you of your ex, and obviously you think about him.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, like 40% of people like don't think about their exes anymore, like at all.
Honestly, I think that's bullshit. I don't want to be offensive or anything, or not, or maybe people are interpreting the question differently.
Yeah.
It's like, do you still have your ex on your mind? Do you still think about them every day? Maybe people are like, no, I don't think about them every day.
This question, I could have put it better. I realized while I was doing the poll, and I already posted the questions, that I could have phrased some questions better because they had not clear answers to them.
Okay, next question.
How long does it take for you to get over a breakup in average? And I was...
That's a scale, right?
Yeah, my two...
Yeah.
No. My two... Yeah, it was a pool, so two options.
Okay.
Less than a year or more than a year.
Okay.
So what do you think, the majority?
I think most people are gonna say less than a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was again around 70% were less than a year and about 30 were more than a year.
Yeah. Then again, I think it comes down to the type of relationship that you have and the type of like person that you are. But like personally, I'm not the type of person that's gonna jump from a relationship to another. So for me, it takes longer. Maybe it's due to the kind of like relationship I had with my ex that really kind of left a mark on me for a while. I don't know. I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of variables that come into that. So sure, if you're the type of person that goes from one relationship to another, it might take you less time. But if you're like me, someone who likes to take your time and really find someone that, you really connect with before getting into a relationship, it might, take you longer. And it's normal. Both ways are normal.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like for me, when I broke up, I thought it would take me longer and it actually took me shorter. But I guess it was also because I met you. But I have to say, yeah, of course. I also have to say that in the beginning of our relationship, I think I was not completely over him yet.
That's possible. It's normal.
Well, and this is interesting to me, then it's still less than a year because I guess for younger people, for those high school relationships, it lasts shorter because it's not that intense of love yet.
Or it's a first love and you don't understand relationships yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it still surprised me that it was such like, a higher percentage for less than a year because my follower average, like the age of my followers is on average between 18 and 33. Young adults. So most of my followers are young adults.
Yeah.
And I have I have also kind of like a 50-50 women to men ratio.
Okay.
So I was kind of surprised that it was still less than a year.
I mean, there's a big thing I think for with our generation and well, we're like on borders of being the same generation because you're a bit younger than me. But I think there's a big culture of non-commitment. And that might explain why like people are getting over people faster because they just move from one person to another.
That might be actually true.
Like I'm sure if you asked that question for like 100 years ago, the answer would be like totally different.
I guess you're right. Okay, next question. Have you met again with your ex or your exes after you broke up?
Is that a question to me or do I need to guess the percentage?
No, that's the percentage.
I need to guess the percentage. I'm going to say a lot of people, yes.
Yeah.
Like 80%.
Yeah, it was close to 80 for people, yes. But for me, I met him just once again to exchange a game of Risk we bought together. But it was just once and it was super awkward.
Hey, everyone has his reasons. But I
mean, you can just bump into that person also.
But I think like this is probably due because most relationship happens between like kind of a circle. Like either you start dating someone you're at work with, or you're in school and university or something, and you get in a relationship with one of your classmates or something. So obviously, if you break up and you still have that class together, you're gonna see them in the class or whatever. You're still in the same kind of environment or circle. So that's probably why a lot of people tend to see their exes again.
Yeah, for me it was the opposite. After we broke up, all our common friends, like we had a common friends group, we broke up in a way that he broke up with me over Skype when I was in South Korea, which was amazing, on the day of our anniversary.
No judgment, but very classy.
Yeah, really great breakup. And then everybody thought that I broke up. Everybody thought that I was the one that fucked up. And because I was modeling, and obviously I also modeled for underwear and stuff, people already thought that I'm a whore and that I...
Great.
that I just fucked up something in a relationship. So after that, I didn't have the same friends anymore. Nobody talked to me. So yeah, that means I couldn't meet him again, because I wouldn't meet with those people anymore.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, if they treated you like that, they didn't deserve you, baby.
Yeah. Okay. And then I asked the follow-up question: how did that make you feel? That meeting, better or worse?
Worse.
Yeah, see, and surprisingly, most people answered with better.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, 60% said better and around 40% said worse. So more people said better.
Okay. I'd be curious to know why.
Yeah, me too. For you, it made you feel worse, right?
Well, the context was just kind of...
bad.
Yeah. For me, when I saw her again, we didn't even talk, I don't think. It was at an event, and it was just, I don't know, it just felt weird. So it was not a positive experience, I guess. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, and also back to the thing that it takes people less than a year to get over a relationship. That also was interesting for me, because then to a question, if they had already serious relationships, then most people answered with yes again. So, you had serious relationships, and it takes you less time to get over it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of an interesting thing. And I think that you're right with our culture, that this is something that would have been definitely different in the past.
Yeah. I don't know what to add to that.
Yeah. Okay, we're coming to the end. How did the breakup happen? In person or via SMS, chat, call, etc.?
Ooh, I think it's gonna be 60% in person.
Yeah, you're completely right. You won the jackpot.
What's my
Yeah, it was around 60% in person, and then 40% the rest.
You're 40%, I'm 60%.
Would you like what would you prefer?
Person. 100% person. That way you can have like a face-to-face conversation. You can see the other person's emotion. Like that's one of the things.
You can hug if it goes good.
Exactly. That's one of the very important things. I think I took from my previous relationship is that never have a serious conversation by SMS.
When you are apart and you really can't be together, at least video call.
Because there's no emotions in text. There's you can't someone says something and the other person can interpret the meaning of that sentence totally different just because of their own personal state of mind, and they can't read anyone. They can't see your face. They can see your nonverbal, and nonverbal is about it's so much of our actual message when we convey something. That when you receive...
What is it, 50% or something?
It's 50 or 60. It's incredibly high.
It's 50-60% of how we convey messages come from our gestures and mimics.
So if you can take something out of this, never have a serious conversation by text.
I guess also because it happened to me. I got broken up, in this way. And yes, it was a video call, you know, it could have been SMS, which after 4 years, dude, if you break up after 4 years with me via SMS already, while all the other things are happening that I said before, then you're really, really, really a fucking douchebag. Yeah, so it was via video call.
Yeah.
But it kind of also was bro, he didn't even call to break up, oh yeah, sorry, I don't know. We are away, I can't tell you this in a different way, blah, blah. But he already wanted to break up with me in person. And then he did it by video call because I
Couldn't
don't know,
wait.
but he just didn't have the balls to do it. And then he did it via video call. I was the one that kind of like pressured him into like saying, so what's going on? Because at that point, he didn't say I love you for a while. And it was obviously bothering me. Like, I wanted to know why, what's the, the reason behind that. And he always was like, oh yeah, like we're gonna talk about this. Like, I can't now. Like, I don't feel like talking about this now. Always pushing it away. And then during the call, like, it was our anniversary, and he didn't say I love you. And then I was like, okay, then tell me now. Like, I can't be here, because it was at the beginning of my trip. I was supposed to be there for another 2 months. I was there for, like, a week or something, and then I was supposed to be there 2 more months. And I was like, I can't wait 2 months, and you're not telling me what's going on, And then he broke up with me. His reasoning was that it's gonna hurt me less if instead of breaking up with me, he's gonna make me not love him, he's gonna make me hate him. So he started to behave like a dick. And I was, instead of, breaking up with him, because I was with him for 4 years, and I loved him and everything, instead of being the one like, okay, you are a dick, I'm breaking up with you, I was just like, okay, what's wrong with you? I'm supporting you. I want to help you. What's going on? And then because he didn't want to like help, was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then I was questioning myself. What's wrong with me? What I'm doing wrong in this relationship? Why he's behaving like this? Like, what am I doing wrong? So yeah, really, you helped me with this tremendously.
All right. So, moral of the story, guys.
Moral of the story.
If you're in a relationship and you ever loved that person, just have the decency and the respect to end things when it needs to end and to do it in the proper way. Thank you very much.
If you can, do it in person. And if you feel like you want to break up, break up. Then I put an extra question, because this was something interesting for the breakups. Would you be rather the one that is breaking up with the other person, or the one that is broken up with? Being broken up.
I think most people are gonna say that they'd rather be the person that does the breakup, just simply because usually when you're the person that ends up breaking it, it means that you or your feelings have moved on already, or already in the process of moving on. Whereas usually if you're the person that's been broken up with, you're not necessarily over with the relationship. So that usually when you're the person that's been broken up with, you're the one that's gonna have more pain than the one that's doing the actual breakup.
Oh my god, that's so true. Wow, you're right. And also, yeah, most of the people said that they want to be the ones breaking up with 70%. Funny, it's always the same percentages, as like vice versa.
Do you have more?
I just had like one question, because then I realized that not all relationships are one-sided breakups. They are relationships that you come to mutual agreement that this thing is just not working out anymore. It was like around 40%.
Was mutual agreement?
No, about 40% was mutual agreement.
Okay.
Which is like, that surprised me. Like, 45% even.
I expected it to be lower than that.
Yeah, me too. And I was actually happy about this, because that was the last question that I put in. I was like, oh yeah, nice. Like, around like 45% of people still have mutual agreements to enter something, and that I think is really a good thing. That's great. That's the ideal breakup.
It's probably better than a one-sided breakup for sure. It's also possible that those mutual like breakup are people going away, moving away for school and stuff like that.
Wait, I just thought that maybe mutual breakups can be also mutual fights, actually. Where both parties yell at each other that I hate you and I don't want to see you again.
Yeah.
For those of you still listening, thank you that you are still listening. We went on a little break, and then we are gonna be back, and we're gonna finally answer the initial question of this podcast. What did we learn from our past relationships?
Start recording?
Oh, let me just burp.
All right, welcome back. We are now back from our little break. And I think you had something that you wanted to add to the previous conversation before we move on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say to the breakup text messages and chats and etc. that yes, we said that if you have the possibility to do it in person or at least via call, but I understand that there are circumstances in which it's safer if you were in an abusive relationship to do it via text messages, or also better for your psychological state of being. Obviously, when we were talking about proper breakups, like proper, you don't see my fingers, but I'm doing, how do you call this?
You know when you put your two fingers in... I don't know what it's called.
Okay, I guess you know what I mean. Like, when you were in non-abusive good relationships, good, you know?
Yeah.
Then, yes, those breakups are for sure better. But if you were in a dangerous relationship, if there was some real bad harm done to you and you want to get away from it, then you have completely the right to just do it via text messages, or to maybe not tell the person at all and just leave.
Oh yeah, 100%. Be safe, people. That's the first priority. If you're in a relationship and you think... Sorry, another side note. I'm a fidgeter, so if you hear that clickety sound once in a while, it's because I have a pen and I can't help it. So yeah, the first priority is always security. If you don't feel like you can safely end things, or if you don't feel comfortable doing it in a certain way, obviously do whatever is the best for you and stay safe.
Yeah, if the person didn't take in consideration your feeling, if somebody abused you, they don't really deserve your empathy and you trying to be understanding. And if somebody, for example, raped you in your relationship, because I got messages like that as well, no, they don't deserve you to break up with that in person. If you consider it safe and if you want to do it, of course, but you're completely like, don't judge yourself if you just break up via a simple "I'm breaking up with you" text, or just not talk to them anymore. Like, your safety is priority.
All right, now that is said and done, let's move back to the question of the day.
So we are finally getting back to the question at the beginning of our podcast. What did you learn from your previous relationship, Michael?
I actually think I learned a lot from my previous relationship, and I'm really happy with the things went in general. There was a lot of ups and downs. It was always a bit of emotional drama going on, but at the end of the day, I think obviously we know by now that I learned to never talk about serious stuff by text message. Always do it in person.
Yeah, that was a big problem in our relationship too. We got in so many fights over text messages.
Yeah.
Damn.
Don't try to be a hero. Your job is not to save the other person. There's only one person that can take a step forward and save that person, and it's themselves. You'll never be able to save someone that doesn't want to be saved.
You can give them support.
Oh yeah, 100%. You can support them in whatever they're kind of trying to achieve to help, but you're never the one who's gonna save them. And that's a very important thing, because at the end of the day, if they feel like they didn't take these steps themselves to get better, or to change for the better, or to fix something that they want to fix, then it's never going to be theirs, you know? When you change and when you become something and when you grow, it needs to feel like that growth is from you. It needs to feel like you had the power to become who you are. And if you feel like someone pushed you or made you who you are, then it's not going to feel genuine. It's not going to feel like it's you. Respect them enough to let them save themselves.
Oh my god, that was such a pretty speech. I'm crying. What the hell? What are you doing to me? You're a psychology student.
You have the right to cry.
Oh my god, wow. Crying on the first episode of a podcast. Well done, Natalia. Good job.
Yeah. Always.
But yeah, crying is fine, as we said.
Exactly. If you're seeing someone, if you're in a relationship with someone, respect the fact that they're different. Respect the fact that they come from a different place from you, and because you believe that something is right, or that a way of living is right, it doesn't mean that the person that you're with comes from the same background that you are, and that they have the same experience that leads them into the same beliefs. So
I know what you're trying to say. Sorry to interrupt you, but yes, I agree. But there are certain things that are just factually non-healthy behaviors, like non-good things that people might not realize, and you can help them realize, but you cannot help them fix it.
Yeah, I'm not saying about there's certain behaviors, sure, that you can discuss or have conversation around it. But there's beliefs and there's, for example, like monogamy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like there's
Yeah.
different ideas around like everything, and you can't force your own ideals on someone else. It's not fair and it's not respectful. If you love someone and if you want to love that person and if you're in love with that person, just respect who they are and don't try to change them.
And if you have problems with who they are, if it really clashes, I mean, there is the saying that opposites attract, but only to some extent. If you are way too opposite and you have way too different opinions and you cannot get over them, cannot solve them with conversations, you cannot find compromises where both parties are feeling good with those compromises, then that relationship is not going to work out and it's better to move on from it.
Yeah, and accept the emotions that you feel too. Like
Yeah, like accept the other person, but accept also your emotions that you feel about the life of the other person and the opinions of the other person. Like accept both things.
yeah.
Let it go through your head, and you have to decide what is more important to you. You know, you kind of have to put yourself also at least at the equal position as your partner. You know, like I would even say that you should put yourself like a tiny bit first.
Well, you always want to be happy before you try and bring someone else into your life. Like that's the goal. Like your partner is not in your life to make you happy or to satisfy you in any way. Your partner is in your life as as someone to be on your side. It's not you don't want to bring someone to complete you. You want to be your completed self-happy person, and then that person is an extra 10-20% happiness. But at the end of the day, you want to be able to be complete and happy by yourself before you bring someone in. Otherwise, what's the expectation that you're putting on that person? You're starting your relationship by putting expectation on someone else to complete you or to make you whole, which is totally unfair. That person is not there to complete you. That person is there because you enjoy each other and because you have feeling towards each other and because you want to spend time and because when you're together, you feel like certain emotion, you feel joy, you feel better, but it doesn't. Natalia is not here to make me whole. Like I'm happy and I'm complete by myself, and I want her in my life because I want her in my life, not because I need her in my life.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah. So
you should have somebody in your life because you want them to be there and not because you need them to be there.
that's pretty much what I learned from my previous relationship. What about you?
I definitely learned to, well, after the breakup, I learned how to be my own self, as you said, because when I was in a relationship, and I think it's also due to the fact that we started dating so early, and we were that high school love that lasted longer, and I didn't have this chance of proper self-development outside of my usual friend group and usual environment that I had for years.
Yeah.
I feel now when I think back on it, I wasn't myself. I was more of like somebody's girlfriend than Natalia, you know?
Yeah.
That I kind of lost myself in it. And that's definitely something I learned from the relationship, to not give all of me to the other person, or like not to put the relationship over myself.
Yeah.
Be equal with your partner, but not put the relationship itself over yourself. Then definitely I learned just what I want in a relationship, that I really, really need open communication, which we did not have. And that's why when you were saying you need to accept, you know, the other person, etc., like I agree with that, but you need to also really listen to what you need. Because I was completely like over accepting even my partner in a way that I kind of was like, yeah, he has this and this and this flaw, which I'm completely not okay with, but I love him so much that I'm gonna overlook this, or I'm gonna go past this, and like that's why I'm here. Like I'm the love he needs to be able to overcome these things. He was not open to talk about a lot of things. I just generally have open discussions about feelings,
Social
etc.
distancing, people.
Yeah. Jesus, there. No, we're not talking about Corona.
True.
We just saw people like outside, not social distancing at all, from different apartments. Oh, not talking about Corona.
No corona.
Yeah, so I need somebody that is already progressed enough in his persona that I can have this open conversation with. And if somebody's not there, he's not gonna get there while being in a relationship with me. He needs to get there by himself.
Exactly.
I think we kind of learned a very similar thing, just in like different variations, kind of, you know, to respect yourself, to accept yourself, to not change yourself for another person, to not compromise what you want to an extent that it makes you unhappy just because you consider the feelings of your partner a bit too much.
Yeah, and don't get it wrong here. Like, compromise is a big part of a relationship.
Yeah, it's very important, but it should not make you feel unhappy. A compromise is there to find the middle way so both people still feel happy and still feel okay with the choice.
Exactly.
It's not there to make one person unhappy and so the other person feels better. Yeah, and that's basically also what my followers said. They also said that it helped them realize their worth, to not let somebody disrespect them.
Yeah.
This was interesting. Somebody said, love can't guarantee everything. A successful relationship is not the one where the people love each other the most, but it has many, many other variables. You know, having similar plans for the future, being on the same like level of like also personal growth and communication and just so many things.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They also said that it's not my problem to fix that person. Exactly what we said before. And most importantly, that communication is key.
Communication is magic, people.
Communication.
Preach it.
No, but this is so true. This is so true.
Oh,
because, you know, what is a relationship when you don't have communication? That it's not a relationship, it's just a sex friend.
Living with someone without talking to them. I don't know. We're not perfect either, and we have our moments where we have different opinions on things, or where we have differences. It's just when you kind of know how to approach a conflict and when you know how to communicate about it, it makes everything so much better, because you know that even if you have differences or if you have a conflict, you're going to be able to talk it out, and that things are not going to end just because of that one situation, like where you like someone or both had negative emotions towards something. It's about being able to talk it out without creating drama. Living in that atmosphere where you don't wake up expecting drama is so good.
Thank you, Papa.
It's so good. Let's be honest. I hate drama. I'm the person that I have a resolution in my life is to live my life as drama-free as possible. So every day without drama is a little win in my life.
You should have become a therapist.
A therapist?
Honestly.
I don't know. I think I'm a good listener, but
you don't want to listen to too much bullshit in your life.
Yeah, well, it's really hard. Like, 'cause being a therapist, not necessarily listening to the problem itself, is being able to understand what's behind it. But yeah, it's a different story. And also
to detach yourself from it, because that's why I couldn't be a therapist. Because I guess I care too much about the problems of other people. Like when somebody is telling me something bad that happened to them, I'm so empathetic. I'm so caring. Like I'm gonna sit there and cry with them.
Yeah, I don't think you wouldn't be a good therapist.
Like I'm a good listener, but I'm a better hugger and cuddler. That I'm actually gonna be there and be able to get to the point and solve your problem.
Definitely a good hugger.
Okay, I think that is actually the best way to end our episode.
On a hug.
On a hug.
Woohoo! First podcast over.
You're already happy that it's over?
Not happy that it's over. I'm happy because we
made this.
It.
Yes, we actually sat down and made this podcast. Yeah, I'm very happy too. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed this podcast as well. It might have been a bit longer than the other podcasts. Obviously, we had to introduce ourselves a little bit. I say the word obviously a lot. I have to expand my vocabulary. The opposite.
There we go. Okay.
Okay, see you soon again, and
stay safe out there.
We're not mentioning Corona. Love you. Bye.
Ciao.
You say you're stronger now. seen it all before.